apart from the cab business, the EV industry in general, I feel like the cost of the cars is not coming up because the demand is not very high. But the cost will only come down when the demand goes high. So isn't it a loop?
I think the cost of the car, if we see for other cars also, all ICE cars have only gone up. If you see the cost of car in 2017 versus now, has only gone up and not come down because the cost of materials to make those cars have gone up. The cost of fuel used to run those cars have also gone up.
And what is the typical P&L would look like? What are the components of the P&L would look like? The expenditure side.
We are earning about nearly sub 3,000 per day per car. So really good revenue is coming in and the contribution is going up. When we started off, we were doing about 500 rupees per day per car. Now is nearly in the range of 3,000, closer to that number.
Hello and welcome to the roundtable with the great founders here at Masters Union. So we are glad to have Mr. Punit Goyal, the founder of BluSmart, with us today. Hello, Punit.
Hi.
So how does it feel coming here?
Really
Spending
happy.
time with students.
Excellent. I feel so happy and such an amazing conversation with everyone. And I got to know that customers and students, they use BluSmart a lot, and got a fan who also, sung a nice poem on BluSmart that really charged me up. And incredible experience to meet everyone.
And I personally use, my entire family uses BluSmart. I have a kid, 3-year-old, and that's the only reason we don't take any other cabs.
That's so nice.
Cleanliness is a big thing in our decision making. That's why we take BluSmart.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So we'll start from the beginning. So you were born in Calcutta.
Yeah, I'm born in Calcutta.
And can you just run through what was it like? How did this shape your?
Yeah, so I think growing up in Calcutta, it was a very different city at that time. And I remember taking a lot of public transportation in Calcutta. I used to take, we didn't have cars till the longest time I remember. And we used to always, I used to take a public bus. They have this bus called mini bus. It's a red color small bus, which I took for many years. And then the bigger version of the bus is called public bus, which has those like aluminium coatings outside. And the red color bus was called the mini bus. Both are public buses, sorry. The longest time I took public commute, and also for sometimes to school or to my nani badi from my nani side. I used to take, she used to live in Alipur. So I used to take the yellow cabs. And I think the cab, that's the first time I used cabs. And I used tons of times the buses. So I've all my childhood used public transportation. And I realized the importance that public transportation plays a very important role in shaping the mobility in a city. So those were my Calcutta days. I did my schooling in Calcutta. Then I shifted to Bombay in the year 2000, 2001, after having spent about 15-16 years in Calcutta. But the times in Calcutta were really good, if that was the question.
Yeah. I mean,
how times in Calcutta were. I was a student at Hindi High School. Later, the name got changed to Birla High School. It was owned by the Birla family, and it was quite a. I remember eating a lot in Calcutta for sure. So I think all the years I spent, I just ate a lot of food. Calcutta is a city of food. Like Dubai is a city of gold, Calcutta is a city of food. So these are fond memories if I were to sum up my times in Calcutta in few lines.
So you're trying to actually see that how that entire your mindset shifted over
so like years. I said, the public transportation, the first time all these years in Calcutta, I used public transportation. We never had cars, and times changed, and the family business started doing well. So we got our first car when I was in the 10th grade. But all the upbringing in years, it was just using public transportation, buses, and sometimes cabs. And when I used to go for tuitions in the evening, when I was in the 9th and 10th standard, I took tuitions. I used to use a lot of auto, the local auto there, because it was closer to travel. But yeah, if I were to sum up, I've all my childhood years just used public transportation.
And Mumbai also, later on when you shifted to Mumbai.
When we were in Mumbai, we were doing pretty well towards end of the millennium, end of the century. We got cars. So yeah, but while I was studying at Sydenham College, I used to use a lot of train, the Western Railway. So I used to use the train services to go to college. I was studying at Sydenham College, but I had a decent fair share using public transportation in Mumbai, but not as much as in Calcutta. Calcutta was all about public transportation.
And then you studied abroad then?
I finished my graduation from Sydenham College, class of 5, and then I went to study at London School of Economics. And then after that, Business School of Aston University. So I was there in the UK for 2 years. And then I came back to India in early 2008, late 2007, came back to India.
Okay. So now we'll straight away jump into questions about BluSmart for a bit. So we are all business school students, so we want to just get into the deep insights about how the economics would change from the time you started ideating it and to now.
Unit economics and the economics of ride hailing is only getting better. I think the tailwinds which are really helping us is the range of the car is increasing with each passing year. So initially when we started off, the Gen 1 cars were giving us low charge, about 110 kilometers on a single charge. And Gen 2 cars came with 140, 180 range. Gen 3 cars were 200 kilometers on a single charge. Gen 4 cars were about 250 kilometers range, which is the current generation. Gen 5, which will be the future, will be upwards of 300 kilometers on a single charge. And the fact that each asset, once fully charged, can perform or give us longer range, that really helps our cause, because then that asset doesn't need to go back to the charging hub, and which means in layman language that the same charging hub can charge more assets because the charging hub doesn't need to charge the same car during the day. One. Two, our utilization is also increasing. Mobility is a network effect business. The more you see, the more you use. And in our case, by design, we could not serve the entirety of geography of Delhi NCR because we had finite number of cars. So for example, you travel from Delhi NCR to Noida, we could drop you there, but the pickup was not there because we didn't open the pickup point there. And we didn't have the charging. In fact, we lacked charging infrastructure there. So now we are also setting up charging infrastructure in areas we don't operate. That will allow us to do more trips, and that car can do another trip. So we were losing, or we were leaving money on the table, I would say, in layman language. Now we'll get more revenue per car, and that will go up. And we will make we'll be in black. Hopefully, we'll be in black next year in the ride-hailing business. But the unit economic growth levers are increasing utilization. Another growth lever is if you increase prices, because we were really underpriced. The service that we were offering, or we are offering, is slightly on the lower underpriced. So I think there is an opportunity to increase prices with the trend. India, I think, if you see, is really underpriced. If you compare the mobility pricing in the US or in Europe or in MENA region, which is our neighbor, Dubai, and if you see the mobility pricing, India is really underpriced. And for the quality you want to offer, people are also willing to pay. So I think these are growth levers to become profitable and for better unit economics. And that's the path we are on. We have charted this path forward. And that's our next 2 years of action.
And what is the typical P&L would look like? Like what are the components of the P&L would look like, the expenditure side and the...
Yeah, so for us, we have certain fixed costs and certain variable costs. And the variable line items are all being covered, which could be the lease of the car, the driver's remuneration, part fixed, part variable. Again, there's a fixed and variable component. So I would then say the line items could be fixed, semi-fixed, variable, semi-variable. In the charging infra business also, there are certain fixed costs and there are certain variable costs. So the use of energy or fuel costs, tolls and other charges. So these all will be in the semi-variable expenses. Fixed cost will be the lease of the car, which is in the second line item, which below contribution margin 1. Contribution margin 1 will be all variable costs, and fixed cost will be all contribution margin 2 costs, which are your fixed costs. And then the third component in the contribution margin 3 zone will be the corporate overheads, office, and all the fixed expenses we are doing on the salary side and all that. So these are the major heads or major line items of how the P&L will look like. The cars are doing pretty well. We are earning about nearly sub 3,000 more or less per day per car. So really good revenue is coming in, and the contribution is going up. When we started off, we were doing about 500 rupees per day per car. That now is nearly in the range of nearly sub 3,000, closer to that number. But we have seen that hockey stick curve going up, where the utilization has gone up, the number of trips has gone up overall, and the number of trips per day per car also has gone up. And that's again inherent part of network effects.
And what's the typical the number of trips that is needed to break even?
So that depends again. What is again your input cost, and you can probably pull and plug certain parts in the business, but more or less. If you see in the mobility world, given the way we operate, we need about 7.5 to 8 trips to break even on all our costs. But that again can change. If we have 2 levers, right? One is your input lever, you reduce your input costs, and one is the growth lever of how you utilize the asset. So you can obviously, tweak, lower your input costs, then you break even today, slightly increase your pricing or your network effects or your geography, then again you break even. So that breaking even is always momentary. and every quarter can change depending on how you tweak both sides of it, all your input costs and your output, and how much you consume from the consumer, and your ability to draw more money from existing customer. For example, a customer is today taking six trips or 7 trips in a month, but the customer is also wanting to go to a geography we don't serve and wants to take BluSmart. So we're missing out on certain money from the customer, and we've already acquired the customer. So CAC is now covered. Customer acquisition cost is done. All we need to do is open the geography for the customer to take a ride there. So and then we get that additional.
So why aren't you not opening?
Yeah, and that's by design. So because Delhi NCR is a massive geography. Nearly 55 million people live in Delhi NCR. It's much bigger than Spain or Ukraine as countries put together. So Ukraine's population is 44 million, Spain's population is 46 million. Delhi NCR is 55 million. It's a country. It's not a city, and it's massive. Delhi's population is estimated to become nearly 80 million by 2030. So we will need thousands of cars to cover the entire geography. Nearly about 15,000-20,000 cars minimum. Right now we have 1/3 of that number.
So as you mentioned about the daily trips, right? So diving deep into that, you mentioned in the interview that your daily trip for right now is around 7.5, and at 8.2 you will reach profitability, right? So how does that road look like to you, to BluSmart?
Yeah, and we've seen that actually work out well for us. When we started on our own app, we were doing nearly 1 trip per day.
Yeah.
Because the network effects were not in place. People didn't know BluSmart as a brand. And we saw that, and also happened with the increase in cars. So we had X number of cars, say about 300-400. We were doing 1 trip per day per car. We scaled to nearly 2,000-3,000 cars. That went up to nearly 3 or 4 trips per day per car. And as we scaled to nearly 5,500 cars, that number has gone up to now nearly 6-7. I would not say exactly because the numbers are changing. Say 7 trips or 7 around that trips per day per car. But what it really shows is that as we add more cars, as the network effects come in play, the utilization is going up with the increase in number of cars. So that tells us, this theory tells us that at nearly 8,000-10,000 odd cars, we could completely break even. And then like I said earlier also, it's in our hands in terms of pricing or lowering our input costs. And you need to pull from both the sides. Pull in terms of pricing and opportunity to increase geographical presence, and pull on the left side is to ensure that we have lower costs. Maybe shifting to renewable energy could lower our costs, better financing, even better financing on the financing part. So I think these two go in tandem to achieve actual profitability, even at scale. But yes, as we increase our fleet size, that will take us on a straightforward path to profitability. But even to further improve efficiencies, there we'll have to do more things like lower input costs and ensure that we make the most out of an acquired customer.
Good. Like talking about that, like you mentioned, the current revenue per car per day is roughly 3,000, right? And you're moving towards profitability. So talking about that, like the fixed cost of a car is somewhere around 12 to 15 lakhs today, roughly. With the time to come, I feel like it's a chicken and egg situation that people say when the demand increases, the cost is going to come down. But at the same time, the cost is not coming down because the demand is not there. So it's a loop. Do you feel like that?
So the demand of what is not coming?
I'll reiterate. Yeah. Right? So apart from the cab business, the EV industry in general, I feel like the cost of the cars is not coming up because the demand is not very high. But the cost will only come down when the demand goes high. So isn't it a loop?
I would say that we are not yet hitting the inflection point in the EV space, in the manufacturing side now. I think your question was more on the cost of the car.
Yeah, cost.
I think the cost of the car, if we see for other cars also, all ICE cars have only gone up. If you see the cost of any ICE car in 2017 versus now, has only gone up and not come down because the cost of materials to make those cars have gone up. All the materials that are required to make the car, the tire cost, the cost of the aluminium or all of the minerals and metals which have been used to make those cars, the cost of manufacturing the engine has only gone up.
Right.
Also, the cost of fuel used to run those cars have also gone up. But what more, as an OEM, what they're trying to offer you if they're not able to lower the cost is offer you technology, is offer you a better car. So a car of make 2023 is far superior of the car of the make year 2013. So if the cost of the car has not gone down, at least the value add has really gone up. You're getting more for the price that you're paying, and you're keen to pay that price because now you're getting more. Also, we are seeing the trend that overall the cost of the cars are going bigger. the cars are becoming bigger. If you say premium cars, people are now paying more money to get even bigger premium cars, and the cost is not going down. In fact, you see premium companies like Mercedes and BMW, they have jacked the prices by 30-40%. With GST coming in play, the cost of taxation also has gone high on cars. So I really see that the cost of cars will not come down in the near future, long-term future. The ability of people to pay is increasing, right? So people are more willing to pay. India's consumer story has starting to grow right now, right? So more and more people are coming in from low-level bracket to mid-term bracket. India is having a new trend right now where a lot of people are coming in high-salary brackets. I was reading a report somewhere, I think on India Today, they said that people who paid on an average income tax, they were in the income tax earning brackets of nearly 3-4 lakh rupees a year. Their average salaries have gone to nearly 13 lakh rupees a year. So that's a 4x increase in the last 8 to 10 years, which means that these people have come in the category of buying cars. Now they can take a loan, car loan. When you earn 3-4 lakh rupees a year, you may not get a car loan. But in the last 10 years, majority of the people have come in the 12 to 13 lakh bracket. This is the majority of the income tax filed in the last year. And so that goes to show that people have more ability to pay for it. So two things which are really going well for the OEM or the auto business is people's ability to pay for car loans and the cost of, and people are willing to buy a product which is a superior product than the previous year product. Now in our case, what is happening in the EV world, if I were to take a parlance there, in the EV world, the range of the car is increasing and people are now investing in bigger batteries. So for those reasons, the EV cost is also not coming down. So for the same price, they would have paid an X price in 2019 for a car, like you mentioned, say 10-15 lakhs, a broad range. If the price has not gone down, for the same price today, we're getting a better efficiency from the OEM now. Longer range, bigger battery, and overall the cost didn't go down. But the value add for the consumer, whether it's a ride-hailing service or BluSmart or individual customer, is huge because you got a car with a longer range.
India is still like a very price-sensitive market, and India, the middle class India is growing, the India one is growing. But still, do you think that segment of population which is growing, do you think that is still in a position to get in a range of the EV vehicle market? Do you think?
So I think again, if not, I think India is also an aspirational country. So while the means of earning is lower, but Indians have a higher aspiration. So sometimes aspirations take over means. And this is why in a growing economy only grows when the means are lower, but the aspiration is higher. Otherwise, you go in a phase where the country doesn't grow, right? And only in a case where your aspirations are higher than your means, you grow as a country. That's general philosophy 101 of economics. So in India, we see two big growth charts forward. People are buying a lot of two-wheelers and three-wheelers. So that number has gone up for people who can't afford buying cars. And people who can't afford buying cars also using services like BluSmart is great for us. The ride-hailing companies are going to provide mobility solutions to people who can't afford cars. And people who also can afford cars, these people are in mega cities of India. A lot of people in small towns, they don't want to buy a car also because there's no need to. Shorter distances can be traveled or traversed on 2 and 3-wheelers, right? So only few people are buying cars. India's asset ownership, by the way, since you brought that question up, is about 40 cars per 1,000 people. So despite the ability and capability to buy cars, that number increased from 22 cars per 1,000 people in 2015 to now nearly 40. I mean, as per some reports, it's 30, 32. But I'm just taking a little higher number here, given India's reporting standards are different. But in mega cities, it could be as high as 40 cars per 1,000 people, which is a great trend. It shows that people are buying cars, people are spending money, and the disposable income is there. People have a lot of discretionary spending now. People are spending beyond their means. So it's more like the Western world lifestyle which is coming. You are kind of hand to mouth. Whatever you're earning, you're spending. Because you want to have a better lifestyle today. And you don't know what the future will be tomorrow. But at least people want to have a better lifestyle today.
Right.
So that's a mega trend that we're seeing now. And especially post the pandemic.
Right. So doubling down on the India story, right? As you mentioned, India is growing. But I got to know that BluSmart has chosen to expand in MENA region also, right? After Delhi and Bombay, choosing to expand to MENA region. So walk us through what went to the strategic decision of expanding to MENA before covering all the mega cities of India.
It's a call that we are still internally taking. It's a good market to explore. We don't know when we launch services there yet. There could be some media report that we are starting our services there. But if I were to say, India as a market is a great market opportunity in major metros of India. So Delhi NCR is a great market opportunity. So is Bangalore. That is where 40-45% of India's mobility transportation markets are. MENA region could add to it, and we've been studying this market for quite some time, and we believe that we could do some innovation there. There's a need for a better mobility experience or a better mobility service in the MENA region also, especially Dubai. Dubai is a place where a lot of Indians travel, and same people who are in Bangalore or Delhi also travel to Dubai, and people are willing to pay for a better consumer experience. So it could be a big opportunity for us, for our competition to probably start something there. In India, I think we are very laser focused on Delhi NCR and Bangalore. I think between these two cities, 100 million people travel to the. If I were to take, I'm giving you an airport data now. So Delhi NCR is the largest airport of India and the top 10 airports in the world. 65 million people travel to Delhi NCR or the Delhi airport. If I were to add Bangalore, between Bangalore airport caters to about 35 million people. So between two airports, 100 million people travel through Delhi airport and the Bangalore Kempegowda International Airport. It's a massive opportunity. About two of the largest mobility, transportation, aviation, hospitality markets of India. And this is a huge opportunity for us to scale. The third market could be overseas, like the MENA region is, something that we are very closely studying. And if we were to actually start there at some point this year, could be for the reason that the average revenue or average order value per trip is much higher. And people and customers are willing to spend also a large amount there. So for these reasons, we are thinking about exploring. You should explore as a company, bring innovation, go in international waters. So right now we are in that stage right now.
Is this the only metric you track before deciding on a particular city?
Yeah, so we decide on two very important metrics: challenges in any city, if we can solve those challenges. Second metric is what are we solving for? Are customers willing, after the pain point is figured out that there's a pain point in the city, are customers willing to pay for BluSmart service? Hence not starting a BluSmart in Cuttack or Bhubaneswar or Indore, because we will not be able to address the pain point there. So the pain point is in mega cities. Mega cities have mega challenges. There's population, there's pollution, there's congestion, there's lack of resources, public infrastructure not at large, or people are not being able to use, or they're not able to use public infrastructure well. Door-to-door services are needed for older people or younger kids. You can't have one service to take you to the metro, then again another service to get you back. So the door-to-door experience only comes with cars. And cars are all season, all weather modes of transportation. And hence we believe that ride hailing or taxi business or car business is the go-to market, because it's a door-to-door service for reaching anywhere in the city.
So when you say that people are willing to pay and that's how you decide which cities to enter into, I'd love to know now your take on the new surge pricing which you have introduced. How did you decide that this is the right point of time when I should introduce this? I mean, it's been long in this industry.
So it's actually not surge pricing. What we are trying to tell our customers is that the pricing is absolutely transparent. Surge would be by definition something that surges and you have no control over it. So that's the plain vanilla definition of surge. That the price has just gone up where you have no control over it and there's no cap to it. A surge could be, say, if 1 was the base case, surge could be 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, and with no cap, right? So that in true definition is called surge. What we have introduced something is our pricing was always transparent. It was on the app. We have now introduced two types of pricing. We have figured out that there is a lot of demand in 2 time zones, morning and evening, which is massive. And we were not able to serve everybody with finite number of cars. So what we did now was we differentiated the pricing. We have a different pricing for peak hours and a different pricing for non-peak hours. But again, it's capped and it's set. So if you want to travel to the airport at certain time or in the city at certain time, the price is transparent. So you can decide. You already know on a Monday that after 2 weeks what the price is. That's not surge. Surge pricing invariably or variably means that you don't know what the pricing will be. You don't know what the pricing will be. On a Monday or on the same day, you don't know after 1.5 an hour what the price will be. So that's the true definition of surge. And surge was introduced by mobility companies to bring drivers to that area. So when there is a massive demand in a particular area by customers, surge allows drivers to come to the geography. Otherwise, there is demand, but there is no supply.
Right.
And for demand supply mismatch, surge was introduced so that drivers can see that this area there's demand, people are willing to pay more, and even they don't know what the final cost will be. That is again dependent on the supply that actually comes in. So on real-time basis, then the mobility service charges a surge price on the say there are 100 people trying to book a car and 5 turn up, surge is different. 20 turn up, surge is different. 40 turn up, surge. So surge is very it's very disruptive, and the mobility platform does not know what the final price will be. So that is the true definition of surge. In our case, we already have introduced set pricing, transparent pricing, but we call it premium pricing for certain time zones. It's just like how you see a movie hall. If you go to a movie to see a movie, on a Monday or Tuesday, the price is fixed. On a Thursday, Friday, the price is fixed. On a Saturday, Sunday, price is fixed. But on a Monday, you know the pricing of all 7 days. So the movie hall is not introduced any surge pricing. They have introduced transparent but higher pricing for certain time zones. So we took a cue from that, and we've introduced different pricing for different time zones, again which is capped and which is transparent. So it's not surge. Here we allow people to get more surety of the cars. For example, there are 10,000 people who want to take BluSmart in the morning, but we have 5,500 cars. These people who are willing to pay a bit more are the ones we're going to serve. You know what I'm trying to say? So they're willing to pay a bit more. So it's premiumization, you can say. We're trying to premium now a segment of customers who are willing to pay a slightly more for the rush hour. So we introduce rush hour and non-rush hour pricing.
So it's sort of something like comparable to movie tickets being slightly more expensive on the weekend. Because more people...
The same people. You can go on a Monday and you can go on a Friday. But the pricing is fixed. It's not variable. You know, so the pricing of a movie hall is not surge. It's rush hour and non-rush hour pricing for the movie halls also. In fact, in airlines and the cab companies, it's variable, right? It changes. Right. If 10 people book a flight, you go on the travel website, the price will change. And after half an hour, the price will change again. It's very dynamic. The pricing changes. And then you tell, oh, should I book the flight ticket earlier? Now the price has gone up. That is surge. That is dynamic pricing. So we're not introducing in dynamic pricing or that kind of surge pricing.
These days, the dynamic pricing is at times you book a cab on some apps and there's a certain price shown. By the time you reach your destination, the price surges even in that time frame of 30 or 40 minutes.
Yeah. Because like I said, there's no control, and there's no control on supply, there's no control on demand. So the marketplace, the job is just to connect people and let them figure out what price they want to pay. That platform is just saying that, look, regardless or not, I am just making you meet a driver and driver making you meet the customer. And if you both are willing to sell and buy at that price, I'm okay with it. I will just get a commission out of it, right? Not that the platform wants to surge. Is that situation that happens? There's too much demand. Supply is limited. What to do? Something has to go up. And that is when the surge was introduced. Because what was happening is that when there was demand in a certain area, cars were not going to that area. How would drivers know that there's demand in that area? So surge was introduced to excite drivers to go to that zone. And they can see that surge is in that area. A lot of people are booking there. That's what helped drivers go in that particular geography. That was the true essence of the logic why which surge was introduced.
Fair. So talking about airlines, we were all part of your CXO session back then, and it was truly energizing to learn how you take inspiration from various airlines, if it was the leasing model or whether it was the code sharing model that you all had with Uber before you all officially launched. So, I am someone who's deeply interested or passionate about aviation. So I was wondering, where did you get this inspiration from, or what the geek side of your business person is?
Oh, I would. How your question is, how did I get inspired from the aviation industry?
Yeah. So how?
Even I am very. I also follow aviation sector closely. Okay. When I was studying in London School of Economics, I finished my program slightly earlier than other students, and the fact that I had more time, so I went to Toulouse to work in a company called Airbus. Right. And I spent some time in the Toulouse campus of Airbus, where they were making an A380. One of the early A380s were being manufactured. So I spent a lot of time at the Airbus facility on the campus, and I got really excited about aircrafts and how they make the fuselage, from where they get the engines, how they're all assembled in Toulouse. Something comes from there, something comes from there, some cockpit from Hamburg, and the engines from the UK. And it's all assembled and shipped together. So I got really excited, and I know all the make models of all the aircrafts. It's my hobby. I mean, I study. So I was trying to say it's on ground or on air transportation. Transportation is transportation. We're doing on ground transportation. Aviation is in air or on air mode of transportation. So, and somehow it's transportation business. So if airlines can run on a full stack basis, even BluSmart can run on a full stack basis. And there's tremendous amount of competition in the aviation space also, right? So national carrier has to compete with the best carrier.
Right.
So normally the best carrier is not the national carrier, most of the times. And sometimes it is. The national carrier is the best carrier in that geography. So all those things, all those examples really helped us BluSmart. And and because we were getting in the energy infra business or asset heavy business, we could relate to aviation sector, which was also asset heavy and very infra centric. So this natural association then happened, and my liking towards the sector also really helped me take cues from the aviation space.
So I see a lot of similarity between what the Indian aviation sector right now is and what probably the cab hailing sector right now was. There was a duopoly by two players, which is similar in both the cases. And there was also a sense of dominance of these two players who were already there. So if there is someone who wants to enter a segment like this, and BluSmart completely smashed it. So if there's someone who wants to enter a segment that's probably in a monopoly and is dominant, so how does one think about it? How does one enter into it?
Look, I think any monopoly or duopoly can be disrupted with innovation or technology, right? So we see a lot of businesses in the past, whether it's the tablet business or the phone business or the camera business, they have been disrupted where there was a monopoly and technology just changed that, right? So people who were not making phones started making phones. People who were not making tablets started making tablets. People who were not from the music industry disrupted the music industry. So I always believe that any monopoly or duopoly can be disrupted with innovation. That's my first take on that. Our take in our sector, if I were to apply the logic, we came with innovation. We saw that the focus was lacking on the customer side, right? So the customer side innovation was not happening. There was no customer-centric approach. Customers were consuming something that they were not happy about, and that could not go longer. And supply was also really falling down on any form factor. I'm not taking electric for a form factor, but supply was falling. So supply side was crumbling, unhappiness on the driver community side. Consumers who were consuming these services were also not happy about it. So if both the sides were disgruntled, unhappy drivers, unhappy ecosystem, unhappy customers, we just wanted to connect the dots. We said, let's make the customers happy. Why are customers unhappy? Figure it out. Then we re-engineered the entire business and built a business ground up which was designed for India. We didn't cut, copy, paste an American concept and just pasted that in India, which was pre-BluSmart era, which was just copying the West and pasting it in India. We built the model ground up, designed for India, for Indians, by Indians, for the benefit of Indians. And this is what led to the growth story of BluSmart. Innovation. Innovation on supply side innovation, innovation on customer side value prop innovation. And that is what disrupted, helped us or is helping us further scale. I would not say disrupting the competition. That was never our goal. We were more focused on the customer than the competition. Both are very important. You need to watch the competition and you need to watch what customers want. But somehow our focus always has been customers over competition.
Right. So we are talking about innovation and technology, and in the mobility space, EV sector is the fastest growing sector right now, and in the tech space, AI is really buzzing. So what are your views on where does these two sectors meet? One thing I can think of is predictive maintenance, right? So as you know that you collect a lot of data from your vehicles, so you can predictably maintain, like you can predict when will your car need maintenance, right? Where else do you think the AI can meet?
I think HI and AI both will play a very important role. Human intelligence actually supersedes artificial intelligence. AI in automobile space, well, there are cars like Tesla and all which can tell you what the car will need, but you also need a lot of, in India, the cars don't have so much of AI inbuilt in it. So you need human intelligence to sometimes take over, and that also is required because humans are driving the car. Car has been driven by humans. But yeah, AI tells us in the born electric tech stack that we are building, the technology tells us how to dispatch a car to a particular area based on state of charge of the asset, how to recall the car back to the hub because the state of charge has gone down. That's when the artificial intelligence or technological interference comes in, where technology tells us what to do. And also, as we learn more, we're also now learning, working with OEMs for us to learn or incorporate technology to ensure that what will be the life cycle of the car, when the battery needs change, like you said, preventive maintenance, where we are working closely with some platform operators, in-house also and outsourced also, which will tell us when will we need to change the battery, right? So that's when AI comes in.
Yeah.
But when human intelligence comes in is how you drive the car. Because if you don't drive the car well, then obviously you are at the beck and call of AI all the time. So I think it has to be a good mix between high and AI. Probably high, HAI, human and artificial intelligence.
Thank you, Punit. It's been a pleasure hosting you. Some great insights. I'm sure all the students had so many things to learn from this conversation. We want to get you back as soon as possible in the campus, maybe as a master next time. So fingers crossed for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much. It was an absolutely stellar experience to have you with us on this conversation.
Thank you.
Truly electrifying.
Yes, fully charged up.
Electrified.
Absolutely.
We all charged up.
We are.
Yeah, and the new word which we learned is high.
High, yes.
Human
And artificial, yes.